Hey guys, let me share with you a pen that I've literally been wanting to share with you for about a year now. I just never really got to doing it. So, I wanted to share with you this. The Narwhal. The Narwhal Fountain Pen Company is a Chinese company, and they're manufactured in China. And let's see, they showed up around 2019 at the DC Pen Show. Actually, I missed that show because I'd been traveling during that time period, and we never made it to the DC show. And obviously, 2020, we won't have a DC show at all. But here is the Narwhal, and I've got two models of their original series. They've got other models that are out there right now, but this is part of their classic or their original series of pens. There were four different colors. You had the Poseidon Blue, you had the Yellow Tang, both of which you do not see here, but also the Hippocampus Purple, which you do see here, as well as the Merman Green. Originally, I had purchased the purple, and my wife loves the color purple. Yeah, so do I. I got to be honest, it's also my favorite color. But I got her this about a year or so ago, the Hippocampus Purple fountain pen, and I got the Merman Green just a little while ago, which is what kind of prompted me to go ahead and record this video. MSRP on these pens and their piston fillers, about $45. Not a horrific price, not bad. Chinese made, well, some people would argue whether or not the value of it and the $45 for a Chinese made pen, but you get what you pay for. And here for 45 bucks MSRP, not necessarily street price, you get a pretty good pen. I've got my Green Merman from a pen distributor that was going out of business, so I got a pretty good discount on it. Okay, so I do not have this one inked right now. I did at one point in time. Really didn't like the ink that I had in it, and so I went ahead and expelled the ink. And there was another reason why I left it uninked, because I'm going to show you a little bit about the pen, and it actually is not a bad idea to have one of them uninked for that. So you've got a nice acrylic, kind of a see-through acrylic, a very translucent acrylic here, and you've got you can see that piston plunger right there within the pen. On three of the models, which would be the Poseidon Blue, the Hippocampus, and the Merman, you've got this chrome trim that is on it, whereas the Yellow Tang, which quite honestly, I'm not hip on the Yellow Tang model at all, just because I don't like the color, it's got a gold trim. So you look at the top, you've got kind of a chrome jewel, if you will, on the top of the cap. And then you've got a very serviceable clip that comes down to a little diamond shaped point. It's a nice tight cap, or nice tight clip to that cap. So it's going to be very functional if you want to put it onto a shirt. On the band here that is just below where that cap screws in, here you've got the name Narwhal, and I can give you a closer up of that, and it says Narwhal again, so that twice on that silver band. On the nib itself, they only come in fine nibs. If I've got one complaint so far, it's that Narwhal only has fine nibs. Not that it's a bad nib, it's just that there's really no choice in what kind of or what size nib that you get. But they've got the little Narwhal logo just like you see here on the box. Okay, so like I said, it is a piston filler. You can see that piston going up and down here as you twist the knob in the back, which is just past this chrome colored ring here at the tail end. One of the things that I looked for on this was, am I able to disassemble it and to service it? It is a piston filler, so from time to time you may want to take this piston out of the back end and you may want to grease it up a little bit just for maintenance, or if it starts to turn a little hard. One of the things about piston fillers is it usually takes a special little tool, because if you look in here you can see that there's a little flat that's inside of here. This happens to be a plastic rather than metal, but there is a flat two sides here. One of the things, if you've got, let's say, a Twisby or let's say you have a Pelican piston filler. One of the things I like is a TWSBI tool actually will work on not only a TWSBI, but also on a Pelican. I am told that the latter models have started to come out with a piston tool for disassembly. The earlier models here do not, and neither one of the models that I have came with one. So I dug out my TWSBI tool and I tried to see if I could indeed put it on here, and nope. The gap here is just a little too wide for me to be able to use a TWSBI tool. So if I ever want to disassemble it, I'm going to have to come up with a different tool for that. So it's not something you typically would have on hand. So, but it is a nice, pretty color. I do enjoy that. That's a pretty green. Green is not my favorite color. Green is my son's favorite color. I may yet pick up the blue one if I find a good deal on the Poseidon blue. I do like the swirl that they have in their acrylic, and as you can see, the purple, the Hippocampus Purple, very nice looking purple. I like the color of this pen a lot. I like the translucence of it. I went ahead and I had filled this pen up for my wife with a Diamine Royal Purple. And that's what I've got inside of there. And I'll show you how that writes here in just a little bit. When you get a Narwhal pen, it's got their Narwhal branded box. And here it tells you in print what one it's going to be. The Narwhal Merman Green obviously came in this particular box, and Hippocampus would be appropriate to its model. Inside you've got basically a padded foam for an insert, nothing special there, and that's it. That's all it comes in. Very inexpensive, very plain box, which is fine. I didn't expect a whole lot, but it did fit nice and snug in there, and that's essentially what I saw when I opened up the box. Right there, my Merman Green. So, nice tight fit. And of course, the Narwhal logo. I actually got a chance to see a Narwhal live and in person at an aquarium one time. So that's kind of neat, a neat experience. You ever get a chance to see a Narwhal in person? Yeah, do so. All right, let's give you some statistics on this particular pen, and then I'll come back. I'll give you a writing sample and a few other opinions. Now that you know more than you really wanted to know about the size of a Merman Narwhal or a Hippocampus Narwhal pen, let's go ahead and show you how it does when you go to put it in the hand, you go to write with it. I'm going to set this one aside because it is not inked up, as I showed you earlier. So you go ahead, you pick it up. One of the things you notice, inked. It's not incredibly heavy, but it's not doesn't feel really lightweight either. So I do like that you know that you've got a pen with just a tiny bit of heft to it, and it actually feels fairly decent when you go to pick it up. It feels just like any other acrylic based pen that you would have. You go to pick it up and put it on, and you cannot post it right there. You're going to run across that ring right there. It's going to prevent you from being able to post that pen. And quite honestly, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. But if you like to post your pens, you can't. So don't even think about it. I'll take that and set it aside right there. Go ahead and move my handy dandy little pen stand. One of the reasons why it doesn't bother me that I can't post that pen is, for me, it's got a decent length to it. It's not too heavy. It would have been just a hair back weighted anyway with that. You get a nice section here. It is a smooth section. It is acrylic, but it's a decent size section, so you can actually wrap your fingers around that pen fairly well. And you've got a good amount of distance here between the threads and the little flare at the end of the section. So, let's go ahead and see how this baby is going to lay down some ink for you. The Narwhal. This particular one is the Hippocampus Purple. And this is a Diamine Royal. I think it was a Royal Purple. You can hear an awful lot of feedback on this particular pen. Like I said, it is a fine nib on it. It is not all that scratchy, however. It's actually a decent nib. For a fine nib, it actually writes on the medium side of fine. I kind of found that a little bit with the Merman Green as well. It's a steel nib. You're not going to expect a whole lot of flex performance out of it, but you can get some good line variation, and it does lay down a decent amount of ink, in case you were wondering. Smoothness, like I was showing you earlier, you know, it can glide across the page. It does decent. It has been reliable. Both of these pens. The only thing I didn't like about the green Merman pen was the ink that I put into it. It was an ugly ink, and I kind of thought maybe I'd put the same kind of ink I wanted that I tried in another pen. Didn't really like it, to see if I'd like it any better in the Merman. No, didn't like that either. So $45 Msrp for the Narwhal. And these are their classic or their original. 4 different colors from which to choose. 2 of them are shown right here. So, personally, for 45 bucks, you get a decent pen. You really do. And from time to time, you'll find them cheaper than that if you look. And you can still find these in production, still available at most major distributors that will carry the product. Chinese-made pen. They've grown quite a bit in their distributorship just in the past year. So, you know, a decent performing pen, $45. It's worth it, I think, just because it's a decent pen and it performs well. It was an interesting one to add to the collection. And like I said, I paid significantly less than that for this one here, just because I found a distributor going out of business. So the Narwhal, their originals, worth the shot.